Has the season fully slipped away? Is Buster Posey to blame? And roster updates and injury reports. All coming up on a Friday edition of Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. My name is Alan Stiles. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay Area. I also host a show at Sacktown Sports 1140, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Alan Stiles Show in Sacramento, where I live now, as well as emceeing Sacramento River Cats games. But all in all, I am lucky enough to cover a team that I've been a fan of all my life. It's time to discuss another lost series, Buster Posey blame, injury reports, and roster moves. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5-h-e-win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. Has the season fully slipped away? Well, look, I want to do something, okay? And some of you may be listening to this on a Friday. Some of you may be listening to this just throughout the weekend. And I want to get the vibes right, all right? And we're going to have to discuss what happened. That's just the reality of the situation. But before we even do that, I want to spend some time, just quickly, to talk about Yoel Peguero, okay? The Giants, they have an absolute flamethrower, and he struggled a little bit. I saw him in Sacramento. He was struggling a little bit early in the season, but he has seemed to figure some things out, and it was really nice watching him do his thing last night. One of the rare positives, a couple home runs for the Giants, but one of the rare positives that we saw or that we have to talk about. So I want to give a quick shout out to Yoel Peguero and the future that he's going to have on this Giants team, maybe as a closer, something like that, as the Yankees are still struggling with Camilo Doval. And look, we hope that works out for Camilo, but seeing Peguero do what he did last night or yesterday made me feel something I haven't felt in a while. It feels like for the Giants, and that's a little bit of excitement for some talent, some young talent that could really change this Giants team. Probably not this season, but definitely next season. So shout out to Yoel Peguero, and we can't wait to continue to watch your career grow. Now let's get back to reality. And the reality of the situation is the Giants lose the Padres series. They are 1-6 in their last 7 against the Padres. And honestly, they barely got that one win. If you recall, they won 4-3, and there was the Devers home run. It would not have been a home run at Oracle Park, but hey, they weren't at Oracle Park. And then there was the callback on the home run where Elliot Ramos, the ball barely grazed off of the fan's arm. It got called back. So they got the win, don't get me wrong, but it has been really tough to get anything going for the Giants. So they're 6.5 games back of the wild card, and now they're about to take a trip to Milwaukee to face arguably the best team in the league in the Brewers. They're the first team to 80 wins, and this is what Bob Melvin had to say about what the Giants were or weren't able to do against the Padres. Quote, "Earlier in the year, I felt like we matched up a little better against them, but certainly it's frustrating a team in your division like that. You feel like you should play better against. To go 3-10 is bad." Okay, that's what Bob Melvin says. And I just wanted, again, before we get a little bit deeper in here, I realize, and I see the comments, and thank you for all the kind words. We're about to hit the 2-week mark, and it's been great. It's been great interacting with people here on social media. Follow me on social media. But I am very, very aware, and I realize I took over this show at a really funny time, right? If you want to look at it that way, as the Giants are playing the worst baseball they've played since the 1900s. And with that being said, I don't want every show to just be for right now, right? Once we get to the offseason, talking transactions and possible trade targets, things like that. But we're still in the season. And I don't want to spend every show complaining because I don't want to burn everyone out, right? And it's tough because I almost feel like, well, I am a parent, but I almost feel like a parent to the Giants in that, it's that old term that they say, or the old adage, I'm not even mad, I'm disappointed, right? At this point, there's nothing to yell and scream about because with each loss, they're moving further and further away from these games mattering. I saw something yesterday, and it was somebody who covers the Cubs, right? And they're losing it. And I wish I could do that. I want to do that. I enjoy doing that to a certain degree. I do want them to win games, but it's nice to get stuff off your chest and be that person that holds them accountable. But at this point, I feel like it wouldn't do anything, or I feel like it doesn't matter because these games, they don't really matter. The Cubs are in the thick of it, and the Giants got to see them too. The Cubs are going to come to Oracle Park before you know it. But where we're at now, and when it comes to, guys that we know we're going to see every single day, there's specific things. I'm to the point in this season where there are just specific things that I want to see, right? The guys that are going to be slotted in every single day, or we assume next season, Chapman, Adames, Devers. If one of those guys goes on a crazy heater right now, it would be cool, but I don't know how much I would care, or for lack of a better term, be excited, right? Because you're doing it. I said the same thing about the A's yesterday, and the A's have been mashing all season long, but once you're out of the race, yeah, it's better than losing games, but it's honestly a bit annoying because where was this when it mattered? So we'll see what happens throughout these next 30-ish or so games. They might be under that now. The only guy as far as an everyday perspective that I want to pay attention to is Jung-Hoo Lee. I want to see how this thing kind of ends up for Jung-Hoo Lee. The Verlander stuff. Here's another guy. He showed up last week. Giants couldn't get the W, and that's honestly when the wild card was more attainable. So I'm not going to spend a bunch of time being upset about Justin Verlander. We know what he is at this point. Giants felt like he was the best option. They don't really have too much else. And we'll talk about Hayden Birdsong a little bit later in the show in the third segment. So I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on Justin Verlander. He didn't pitch well that second time around the order, but Casey Schmidt kicks the ball around. He chucks it into right field. Luis Matos must have had popcorn with extra butter before the game. He kicks it around out there. So 2-run scores. So they're not doing him any favors, and then they can't score. So, the Verlander, again, I'm past that. I'm past that at this point. They were in a position of tie because it was a 4-game series, but I mean, what do you want to do with that? I'm not going to bang the table over Justin Verlander at this point in the season. And by the way, this is what Schmidt had to say about the error and just where they're at in general. Quote, "We're 5-6 games out of the wild card," infielder Casey Schmidt said. "It's not crazy. Crazier things have happened. We're still definitely in it. We just have to pull ourselves together and get back out there." Okay. You're just running out of time. Right? It's not that I believe you or don't believe you. You're literally just running out of time. And we said the same thing against the Rays. We said the same thing against the Padres. And you know what they did? They lost both of those series. So you're not wrong, Casey, but every game that you lose, you have to make up for it. And I just don't believe you're going to make up for it. I don't. As far as the younger guys, that's really how I'm looking at the rest of this season. Matos' triple, that should have been an error, but we'll take it. He actually went 2 for 4, so maybe he's woken up a bit, seeing about 5 other outfielders get an opportunity. So I'll pay attention to that. And, if it is another outfielder, or I saw Thomas Gavello down in Sacramento. They had him in the outfield now. He can do both. He's been playing second base. Got our eyes on a couple things. Unfortunately, the Blade Tidwell news doesn't help, but I'm not even angry. This team is not worth the anger. I'm disappointed, but I'm not angry. Let's talk about blame. I saw something going around yesterday that Buster Posey isn't getting enough blame. Let's discuss when we return. More Locked On Giants. Don't move. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavors you love without ever leaving the green. I remember my first and hopefully not, but possibly my last chip in like it was yesterday. And golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape ginger lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. A lot of times, they don't even have a bev cart these days. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5-h-e-win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. I've been meaning to tell y'all about my new favorite jeanswear brand, Doer. I've been living in their stretch canvas utility jacket, and honestly, they've completely changed the game for me. And the timing couldn't be better. Doer is opening a brand new store in Hayes Valley on August 29th, and let me tell you why it's worth making the trip. I've worn my stretch canvas utility jacket to work, running errands, grabbing dinner with friends, even to sporting events, and they never miss. They have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim, so you get that perfect fit without feeling restricted. The Cool Max technology regulates your temperature and wicks away moisture, perfect for those unpredictable days in San Francisco. Doer combines classic jeanswear style with the comfort and performance of athletic wear without sacrificing style. And Doer will be opening a brand new store in Hayes Valley on August 29th. Head over to 567 Hayes Street and mention my code LOCKEDONSF in store for 15% off your first order. Or go to shopdoer.com/lockedonsf. That's DUER for 15% off online. Trust me, once you try them, you'll never want to wear anything else. It's time to play the blame game. And how much should we be talking about Buster Posey right now? It's been getting discussed alongside everything else. And when you continue to lose, some people get a little bit tired of blaming Bob Melvin, or they get a little bit tired of blaming the players, or they get a little bit tired of blaming Farhan. So Buster Posey's name has been brought up a little bit. I wanted to give my thoughts on it. And of course, shout out in the comments, whether you agree or disagree. But simply put, I really don't think Buster's name should be coming up yet at all. At all. I don't know why Buster Posey's name is being brought up yet, to be completely honest with you. I know why his name is being brought up, or I understand that process, but for me, it doesn't make any sense. I just think it's far too early to have that conversation. The only reason his name should be coming up is if you think the Giants should have essentially tanked, right? Which is harder to do in baseball than it is in the NBA or the NFL. The farm system, to me, and no offense to those players, it was a complete disaster. They were 28th out of 30. It was a complete disaster. Bottom of just about every ranking system. So, it would have been rough sledding to try to start over, and Buster decided he didn't want to do that. Think about when Buster was winning those championships in the even years. Yeah, they won the NL West, but they also did it from a wild card perspective, and nobody ever had them slotted to win. So this is what Buster is used to. You make some moves, you put yourself in a good situation, and you see what happens. So that's what he wanted. That's what he wanted to attempt to do here. And as far as the farm system is concerned, those types of things snowball into having to make moves. If you don't have a shortstop, Marco Luciano, they ended up throwing him in right field. And I'll continue to say this, about 3-4 years ago, I was told that this was going to happen with Marco Luciano. And I don't know who within that organization decided that they wanted to continue to try to keep him at the shortstop position. That dude should have either been moved to second base or to the outfield years ago. Maybe things would have worked out differently. I don't know. He's still only 23, 24, but I was told that there was a little bit of pushback as far as where he should go and where he should stay. And then ultimately they decided, okay, he's not a shortstop, and they may have done it a little too late. Now, with that being said, I am not going to put too much on the Giants here. As far as Marco Luciano, I'm not going to put everything on the Giants. I'm putting a decent bit, but not everything, because you look at O'Neal Cruz, you look at a Fernando Tatis. If you're mashing and if you're hitting the baseball at a high level, nothing else really matters. Now, those are two of the most ridiculous prospects we've seen in Tatis and O'Neal Cruz, but they got moved to the outfield and didn't blink. And it happens, and they got moved at the big league level. So I'm not going to say this is all in the Giants. If Marco Luciano was mashing, he'd be up there. But these are the types of things where now you don't have a shortstop when Brandon Crawford retires. So you got to go out and you got to pay Willy Adames, which isn't a bad buy, but he's going to cost you. So now you have to pay Willy Adames. You don't really have a true 2, 3, 4 hitter, right? If you want to argue Adames, who you had to get in free agency, fine, now you have him, but I don't think they had that on the squad. Not sure what Jung Hoo Lee was supposed to be, but doesn't really seem to be, 2, 3. We know he wasn't going to be 3 or 4, and, he's more so slotted, we had hoped, as a leadoff guy. So now you got to go get Rafi Devers. And I think most fans are okay with both of those moves. If anything, you could make the simple argument that you went and got a hitter that plays a position where you have a possible logjam in Rafi Devers, but he is by far the best hitter on the team. So in that case, it's really hard to say no. And, the salary cap situation in baseball compared to the NFL and the NBA, I mean, it's non-existent. So it's not my money. If you want to go get him, go get him. The other part of it is there is a perceived logjam. But are we really going to sit here? I know Bryce Eldridge homered again, who, by the way, I don't even know if I want Bryce Eldridge coming up to the Giants and being infected with whatever the Giants have right now. But we just watched this happen time and time again with the Giants. Are you going to say no to Rafi Devers because of a guy who's never taken a swing in the big leagues in Bryce Eldridge? I think the bigger question is, you have Bryce Eldridge and we can put him in a corner, but then you had already extended Matt Chapman, and you have Matt Chapman for 5 more years, whatever that contract is. So that did kind of make me scratch my head a bit, but in the moment, Buster's thinking, let's get the talent to the building and figure it out from there. And if Devers is willing to play first base and DH, then this thing's going to be okay. And maybe he figures, hey, these contracts, who knows how it'll go? Maybe we'll be able to move off of some of them at some point. But in that moment, he thought that Devers was the correct decision. And I'm not really saying that Devers wasn't the correct decision. That's just where we're at now. And it's easy to say that after the Giants have literally been the worst team in baseball since that move. So you have to question the move, but I don't think that they shouldn't have made the move. So I think the Giants ultimately just have to decide what exactly it is that they want to do, right? Well, what is it that you want to do? Because if they truly want to contend, it's probably going to hurt them in the form of some young players that are playing really well for them. And I don't think it would be a Bryce Eldridge. I think he should be off limits. I couldn't even think of who you would make that deal for. The Ketel Marte situation, because it is in division. Yeah, I don't really like what I've heard as far as the missing games and all of that. I can't give up Bryce Eldridge for that. I don't know that if there was a name that did pop up, I mean, I don't think anybody in any sport is truly, truly untouchable. And if there are untouchables, it's way less than you think. But I would have to be given a name. And again, that's for when we're actually in the offseason. So I can probably upset some Giants fans out there with some proposed trades and things like that. What I'm thinking of is guys in AAA and guys in AA that might, or excuse me, guys in AA and guys in single A that might be, playing pretty well for the Giants that are moving up their prospect list in a trade situation that might be okay, or that might be working out for the Giants. We know the NL West is tough outside of Colorado, so you got to figure something out. And I think it's just possible that maybe Buster thought, hey, let's just get in the mix and see where we are at, right? Again, going back to Buster's time, that's what he did. Or that's what those teams did. They put themselves in good situations, pitching, defense, timely hitting, and then you make a move. You could actually argue that the moves Buster has made have not been very even year type moves, right? Willy Adames, he's not the most elite defensive shortstop, and Devers getting moved to a new position where he's looked good, but getting moved to a new position. But these are more hitting forward players. You took the flyer on Verlander as well. But you do have a good pitching rotation for sure, but you got to hit, right? This team is more so set up to hit than to defend at a high level. You have Matt Chapman, who's really good. But outside of that, you have Matt Chapman, you have Patrick Bailey. Off the top of my head, I'm going Ramos, no. Yastrzemski's gone now. Right. So Matos isn't a bad defender. He's also not your everyday guy. Jung-Hoo Lee, I don't know that I would call him elite at the center field position. Casey Schmidt, not elite at wherever he's playing defensively. So they got to find their identity and figure out what moves they're actually trying to make. One more segment for you, and we will give you those injury updates, injury reports, and the roster updates that were made prior to yesterday's game. Don't move. More Locked On Giants coming up. So this came out yesterday as the game was kicking off, or before the game. The Giants roster moves. The right field carousel continues as Grant McCray sent back to Sacramento. Kai-Wei Tang was sent back to Sacramento from the pitching standpoint. I don't know if we'll see Tang again. And look, man, I think he could be good out of the bullpen. We talked about him a little bit after his start, but I think we've seen enough for now. Luis Matos was mashing at the AAA level, as he tends to do. So good for him to get up there to the big leagues and have a good day, 2 for 4. Yoel Peguero, obviously, he got pulled up and he played pretty well in his first appearance. Eric Miller transferred to the 60-day injured list. So some of the updates that I wanted to share with you from the show yesterday, not a ton. Not even going to kind of tease you like that. Not a ton of updates. We do have something on Hayden Birdsong kind of separate to the injury conversation. We're still waiting to get official word on Landon Roop and that knee sprain. As I mentioned yesterday, we most likely won't be seeing him again this season. Just not sure why the Giants would chance that. Marco Luciano, that lower leg foot injury, I haven't seen anything on that yet. Things can be a little bit harder to track down when the AAA team or the players aren't as connected to the big league club. And obviously, Marco Luciano hasn't been connected to the big league club at all. I wasn't at River Cats last night. They do those 6-game sets, but I am going to be there tonight. So I'm going to do some digging, and you would think something will come out this weekend anyway, but I'm definitely going to talk to some people, see if I can get some information for you to share when I'm out there. Jesus Rodriguez, I had mentioned that he hadn't really caught since being pulled up to the AAA level and to the River Cats, and fans have been clamoring for another catcher to challenge Patrick Bailey, but he's actually been coming back from a shoulder injury, and he's doing that thing where he's able to hit, but that's why he hasn't been back there throwing the baseball and doing things like that. So those are some of the quick updates that I had mentioned yesterday and wanted to follow up on. Susan Slusser, and this is kind of separate to that, but because of the injuries, we will, we'll see if this person makes an opinion. And one more note, the Landon Roop stuff, I think we will know more probably today. You might be listening to this show and watching this show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, and you might already have this information. So Susan Slusser put out a really good piece on Hayden Birdsong on the SF Chronicle. And with the injury to Roop and the struggles from the bottom of the rotation, there have been questions as to whether he should make an appearance. There hasn't been an injury to Hayden Birdsong, more like an injury to his confidence or possibly a bruised ego. And I say that, tongue in cheek, because I don't think he has much of an ego, but that's how the saying goes. Here are some quotes. So Susan Slusser talked to a scout. She talked to Hayden Birdsong, and she talked to, the coaching staff with the River Cats. She also talked to some of the catchers with the River Cats. This is what his scout said. Quote, "He's a mess," said one scout who was at Birdsong's start against El Paso at Sutter Health Park. That's the one that I told y'all about that I was at. "He flashes plus stuff, but barely or rarely repeats. I've seen him outstanding in the past, so I know it's in there." Then Hayden told the Chronicle this: "I understand why I'm back down here. I need to figure my bleep out to get back there." He also said, "It's weird. I don't know what happened. I'm waiting for someone to tell me. It's frustrating. I want to be up there helping us win, but I know I wasn't helping us win." With that being said, we'll see what happens with Hayden Birdsong, but I do feel the complete opposite between Hayden Birdsong and Bryce Eldridge, and let me explain. Hayden Birdsong, I don't think it could get very worse. Or I don't think it could get much worse for Hayden Birdsong, right? He got knocked around. So to me, getting back up there, you would like him to be doing better at the AAA level. But to me, getting back out there could help Hayden Birdsong. And if it doesn't go well, I don't know how much that would affect him. Right. I think, okay, I'm still working on things. I don't want to say he's at rock bottom, but he's close to it. Bryce Eldridge is at the complete opposite side of the spectrum. Bryce Eldridge is feeling good. He's feeling himself. He's building that confidence. And I don't know how much the Giants and Bryce Eldridge would gain from him getting pulled up, besides he literally saw major league at-bats. And for me, seeing major league at-bats with nothing on the line, and I know the teams they'll be facing do have things on the line, but I want to see Bryce Eldridge. I don't want him to get used to playing for nothing, to be completely honest with you. Pitching is different. I want to see Bryce Eldridge when it matters. I want him to only know that reality. I don't want him to know a reality where you're just playing for cookies and Capri Suns and orange slices. I don't personally want that. So I keep going back and forth on this. That's where I'm kind of sitting, and they might pull him up. But my personal feeling is I don't know that you need to pull somebody up when you have nothing on the line, and they're going to go up there, and obviously they want to perform well for themselves, but he's going to get a couple at bats, and then it's going to be completely different. I completely understand if somebody says, just get him the ABs. Why wouldn't you get him the ABs? But where I'm currently at, I want his first at bat to matter. I'd love to be excited about it and have him going on a tear, but the longer they wait, the less I think it makes sense. If you're going to do it, then okay, well, I believe they come back to the Bay after taking on the Brewers. If you're going to do it, then that's the time to do it. But I don't want them doing it with 2 series left just to, I guess, appease fans. If you're going to do it, give him a nice run at it, or don't do it at all. Right? Do it where there is still the facade that you could get into the wild card. But doing it after the wild card is completely cooked, no. Hayden Birdsong, Yes, that's how I feel about it. All right, man. Thanks for listening to Locked On Giants. I hope everyone has a good weekend. If you are listening or watching this during your weekend, I hope it goes great for you and it doesn't go too fast. We'll be back on Monday, as always, discussing everything that the Giants were or weren't able to do against the Brewers. Be sure to follow me on social media. I'll get that right on the first time. One of these tries, but be sure to follow me and also follow the Locked On Giants account as well. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll talk to you on Monday. Peace.